connected.
She was. kind
To
of
Beth.
like
Beth
dead
was
with
connected?
sleep.
Yeah. Okay,
Good. So,
thanks.
Yeah, I wish there was a better solution for that.
she wasn't that bad last year, but this year.
It's worse than
Mine
You feel so bad for them.
Yeah, and also kind of mad at the people.
I mean, I'm good, I'm fine.
To face that way.
New. Kate just uses iPad.
It's nice that this one's here.
Yes, I agree. Was received real well. I was the receiver.
Call to order the meeting on Monday, July 7th, 2025. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please, Jenny.
Mayor Vogel,
Here.
Councilmembers Robinson,
Here.
Udvig, here, Bonas, here, Mulebauer.
Here.
On to approval of tonight's agenda. Do I have a motion to approve?
Make the motion, Mayor.
Councilman Robinson, do I have a second?
I'll second, Mayor.
Councilman by Ludwig. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Pull the same sign. On to the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Motion by wow, I'm brain dead here.
Councilmember Mulebauer.
Councilmember Mulebauer,
Mr. Mayor,
yes.
is it possible to have item C just pulled to just have a separate vote on that one issue?
Yes, we just
Can we
need a
do that,
second.
please?
We're gonna get a second first and then we can.
Well, let me amend my
Yep.
motion and approve everything from A to J, A, B, and then D through J.
Okay.
To be approved.
So we have a motion to approve A, B, and D through J. Do I have a second?
Second, Mayor.
Second by Councilman Robinson. Any discussion on A, B, and D through J? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. A, B, and D through J is passed. On to C. Do I have a motion to approve the separation of employment on item C?
I'll make that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Motion by Councilman Mulebauer. Do I have a second?
I'll second, Mayor.
Second by Councilman Robinson. Discussion. Amy, you want to go first or
No, I didn't want to discuss it. I just wanted a separate vote on that
Okay.
issue.
anybody want to discuss C? Okay. See none, no discussion. All those in favor of C signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
4-1 on separation of employment. On to meeting open to the public. Do we have anybody who wishes to speak tonight? Please state your name and your address.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council and staff. Mike Roger, 2770 232nd Lane Northwest. First off, I'd like to thank St. Francis PD for the early knock on my door telling me I left my garage door open. Is that something I can give the code to the police officer? You guys, because he actually walked up to my code box to see if he could shut it. He didn't ring the bell or anything, but I do appreciate you guys tremendously. Couple things tonight I want to discuss, and one of them I'm looking at new business here, and new business A says gravel driveway permit use. Are we kidding? the thing I'm talking about tonight is a few meetings ago, Councilmember Robinson brought up code compliance. You cannot walk one block up Ambassador Street here. I must have missed something in one of these meetings where we changed the code that we can park our vehicles in our front yard because it is become an epidemic in this town. There's no reason for it, and we cannot base this on complaint base because the citizens of this town have lost confidence of complaint based. I ran into a few individuals that live over by the high school, and I'm pretty sure it was in reference to Councilmember Robinson's code compliance deal over there by the high school fields. And I asked him, I says, why don't you call the city? He looked at me straight in the face and says, they don't care. And I said, well, sure they do. They built that beautiful building. Then I got to thinking, do you care? You guys really care that there's 4 vehicles parked in yards just a block away from here in front? You can't. It's really sad that the only place in this town that you can go where there isn't a code violations is to an HOA or the Section 8 housing. That's a fact. If you don't believe that, just take a ride around and look. And it's not just residential. There's code violations going up Bridge Street too. And if you look to see what they are, there may be garbage cans that ain't enclosed. It's still code violation. Suggestions? Building inspector, fire department, police department, public works, they all work for us. Why can't they jot those numbers down? Secondly, tonight I would like to ask, what is the increase of our water rates going to be this year and next year? Anybody? Mr. Mayor?
Well, I mean,
You weren't paying attention. See,
Oh, I was paying attention, Mike.
then what did I say, Mark?
What are our water rates gonna rise to?
Correct.
Right, I mean, I don't know how you can necessarily answer that per se on an individual basis, but I mean, we can have Darcy speak to in general.
Well,
Anticipate.
there's got to be a percentage rate that's going to go up. I mean, and obviously when there was the discussion of the TIF money and the guy says that I'm willing to pay an extra $10, you guys knew that that was not even close to what that rate increase was going to be. Even at 10% on $100 is $10, but is it 10%?
Is he prepared to?
We'll be discussing it at the work session
Okay.
at the end of the month.
Okay.
So if you want to come to that, that's when they'll be discussing it further.
Do we have any projections?
Well, right now I'm looking at probably water, was it 25% and sewer 5% next year?
So how does that justify when we pay our sewage based on our water?
Well, the water.
The only time our rates change is in the summer when we're watering lawns, which at a 25% increase, I don't think anybody's gonna be watering lawns. I'm not blaming you, Darcy. I mean, this is,
It's gonna be discussed further at the work session. And then they'll come before council. When we do the fee schedule.
is this something that's just gonna be dumped on us in a billing, or are we gonna have advance notice as citizens of the city? I'd like to know if my increase is gonna be 25%. That's gonna be $100 on, $25 on 100. And then, well, actually, it's gonna be $30 on 100 because you got your sewer rate in there too.
I'm assuming this, I'm gonna ask the question, but I don't know, Kate or Darcy.
We've been discussing how we're gonna,
How everything
everything that we're gonna do to let people know.
I would assume too, since it affects the MUSA, so
So-
everybody gets a water bill that it would affect.
Not everybody, Joe. Not everybody. Remember that.
Well, no, not,
Only,
but it only affects, if you're talking about raising the clean water to drinking water, whatever, that's MUSA or provided by the city. Well water people don't pay that bill, so those people won't get a bill, but I think whoever gets that bill, obviously, if it's on the bill, I would think everybody would get it. Now, I don't know how it works with the district and all that. That might be something too, but
just so we're on the record, when the TIF money was voted down, the three that voted it down were on well and septic and not city and water. That whole project, excuse me, it's my turn. That whole project could have helped cut these rates lower. That's terrible that you guys felt that way. Go ahead.
Keep in mind, there's some outside influences that are happening. We're talking about chlorides that are affecting our water as well. So there'll be some expenses borne by the city to make some corrections. And again, I think this is probably been the most, just a minute. This has been the most transparent group we've had in a while. So please come to the work session and you're welcome to chime in at that point as well.
well, usually they don't do
So-
back and forth at the work session.
Let me ask you this. So that chloride's going into groundwater? So why isn't everybody paying on that chloride and just the ones that are on city water and sewer?
I'll defer to Paul for.
Yeah,
I
so
guarantee you, they're using their water softener more than I am. I don't have a water softener in my house because our water is soft enough.
the problem's born out of the MPCA chloride testing at our wastewater plant. It's what's ending up at the plant. Not what's coming out of the water in the ground, but so water softener is one of the biggest issues. That's correct. Mike.
So why don't we take part of that burden and spread it through the whole town instead of just the ones that are on wastewater and sewer? I mean, that's an extra city tax, 5% across the board. Wouldn't that help everybody instead of just the ones that are on water and sewer?
I think that gets deeper too, though. There's a lot of factors that factor into that question.
I get that, but this is something for you guys to think about at the work session. You know, you're going to have to get outside the box because this is going to drive people out of this town. How do we expect to develop anything over here with a average water bill that's going to be somewhere in the market of $150? And that's on the low end per month. I mean, Darcy, what's the largest water bill per month you saw?
You're talking residential?
Yeah, residential.
It's so hard to say. I mean, there's some people that, you know, like probably like 2,000 gallons and they're doing like maybe, I would roughly say it's $60 or $70 a month. And there's other people that use 12, 15,000, you know, there's such a variance in how people use water. So, you know, there's bills that I see come in at $60 to $70 and there's some that are $200 and some dollars.
So are the people that are getting their pools filled, are they, because I see that truck running around here and filling up over by the liquor store. Are they paying an increase in the water to have their pools filled, or how's that working?
Well, the water from the water tower is based on our rates.
Yeah,
So
Tier based.
well, when anybody goes over there, they either have an account or they have to put dollars in.
right. I just want to be part of the solution and not part of the problem. And it seems like sometimes this keeps getting swept under the rug and all of a sudden it's a big bomb. And I look at my bill and it's like, what the hell happened? I mean, even the garbage bill, I'm one of those that reads every bill and saying, oh, why did you guys charge me an extra $10 this month? Oh, because your lid was open. Really? I'll call somebody else if that's what you're going to charge me. Unfortunately, I can't get my water anywhere else unless I put a sand point in. Are we going to change that ordinance so we can all have sand points and water our lawns?
That's a deeper conversation we can have later, Mike, because
That's part of the work session conversation you guys can have.
you need users to pay for the plant, and if too many people have sand points, then the cost of the ones that use it go up. It's ugly.
It's already ugly, Joe. It's already, you can put lipstick on a pig, it's still a pig.
No,
And
I
that's
get
what
it.
we keep doing with our wastewater treatment plant is we keep putting lipstick on it. Somehow, somewhere, there is a solution for this. And we had somewhat of an answer for that, but that got shot down because I don't understand what the thinking was, but if we want development in this town, we have, what's the school district going to do? I mean, they got to come back and raise the taxes. That's 30%. They ain't going to let that slide. The city hall, we can't let that slide here. I mean, this is all stuff that you guys, what's that old saying? You cut your face off, spite your nose or something like that. And that's what we keep doing here. We have to find a solution for this. Call the Met Council. Let them take it over like they did in East Bethel. Let them hook to the system. So we're all on the same rate. That's what I have, but I ain't getting any answers, obviously. I really wish we would do something about the code compliances. And I beg that you guys look at hiring a code compliance officer. Just take a look around. This is turning into the ghetto. I didn't move out here to have my neighbors parking a boat in their backyard. I got up this morning and I looked out my door. I went, sat on my deck to have a cup of coffee, and I got a car and pontoon sitting next to my deck. That's what I get to look forward to. Next time I see it, I'll snap pictures and email it to you guys. Maybe that's the only way we can get something done. It's sad that, Jerry Tavit, previous mayor, he was, he was the grass guy. I think that's what he called himself, the grass Nazi or whatever. He went out and, Mark,
Weed inspector.
there you go. There you go, Mark. There's your calling. You can be the weed inspector.
Yes.
Sarah, you can be the car inspector. Kevin, we'll find something for you. I know. Oh, you're a car guy, so you could be the car inspector. We got to figure it out, folks. Thank you.
Thanks for your input, Mike, and I appreciate your take on things, and I just, I do encourage you to come to the work sessions. So they are open to the public, so. Thank you.
I watch them all online. I don't know if the work sessions are online.
Yeah, they are now.
But I was really wondering if I did miss a meeting or something where you guys changed the code where I can park in my front yard. Because then I won't have to pay to store my trailer anymore. I can just park it in my front yard like everybody else does. Does that work? Apparently not. You guys haven't said anything, but it works for everybody else. I'm telling you, when you leave here, go up Ambassador Street North and take a look around. I mean, I got one car I live on 232nd Lane. It's been in his front yard so long, I might go over there and weed whack around it just so it looks like it moved. Gotta do something or it's gonna end up worse than you think.
Thank you.
Thank
Mike.
you.
Thank you, Mike. Anybody else wish to speak? Not at this time. All right. On to old business, sale of the city-owned property, second reading.
Mayor and council, in front of you tonight is the second reading of the ordinance for the city to sell the property. This is in regards to the old city hall. After tonight's reading, then we have our 30-day comment and we can close after August 11th. I'm happy to answer any questions.
I got enough.
No question.
No questions or concerns here.
So we need a motion and then need a motion to approve sale of the city-owned property, second reading. Do I have a motion?
Make the motion, Mayor.
Motion by Councilman Mulebauer. Do I have by Robinson, excuse me. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Oh, there you go.
Sorry.
Second by Councilman Fanis. Roll call, please, Jenny.
Mayor Vogel,
Aye.
Councilmembers Mulebauer,
All right.
Fanis,
Aye.
Udvig,
Aye.
Robinson.
Aye.
So approved. On to new business gravel driveway interim use permit. Beth.
Thank you. Mayor and council, let me know if that's showing up on your screens before I start. Is that?
Not yet.
Just give it 1 second.
It'll get there. Hold on.
Yeah, that's okay. Don't want to do what I did at planning and go through the whole thing before it shows up on your
Mhm.
screen, so.
It's up now.
Okay, so Mayor and Council, before you tonight is an interim use permit request for a gravel drive and parking area that would serve a property that is planned to be a future solar farm. So the site is located outside of the city's urban service area on the northern boundary between the city and Stanford Township. To the north, you have large lot residential. To the west and south is industrial land, and then to the east, you have agricultural land. So the site right now does have access off of Knackery Street on the east. So the city code has requirements for industrial parking spaces and driveways, which is where that solar farm use would fall under. And so all industrial parking spaces and driveways are required to be surfaced with either concrete, bituminous, or pavers, as well as having a concrete curb barrier around the parking area. An IUP can be requested if someone is looking for different surfacing or design requirements other than the concrete and then the curb. And so that's what we're looking at tonight. The applicant is requesting the IUP in order to have some different requirements. So they are proposing to keep the existing access point off of Knackery Street, and then they would extend the existing gravel drive about 75 feet into the site. And that drive would be used during the construction process, which is supposed to be about 4 months. And then after that, it would be used infrequently as just a service drive. The applicant is also proposing to kind of mix riprap in with the gravel so that there would be less of a chance to bring that gravel and track it onto Knackery Street as vehicles are moving in and out. So that's the drive part of it. The other part is the parking area itself. That's also something that they're requesting to just be that same gravel surfacing and then to not have the curb. So Planning Commission reviewed this at their meeting in June, and they held the public hearing. Commissioners did talk a little bit about this and confirmed that the drive is intended to be something that's infrequently used once construction has been completed. And they unanimously recommended approval of the IUP request. So tonight, council is requested to take action on the IUP. The suggested motion I've got on the screen, and I believe it's page 82 in your packets. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Would you want to go first?
I will, Mayor.
Go ahead.
Yes, Beth, is this affiliated with the Grumman Rep people?
Yeah, so Mayor and Council, this is technically owned by Northrop Grumman land right now, but the applicant is Cedar Corp. It's the energy.
But is it still part of Grumman Rep? Is it just a subdivision of them or?
I'm not
leased property,
sure if
perhaps?
it's, I think it's leased property perhaps.
Okay. Just curious, I know it doesn't pertain to the action, but where would the power be transmitted to and who benefits from the power that the solar farms are creating? per se?
Yep, so Mayor and Council, that's something that I haven't gotten into yet. I haven't seen the full plans for the solar farm itself yet. So right now this is just for that gravel drive.
Okay, I'm just curious if it feeds the actual plant itself or the, not plant, but improving grounds. That's all I have. Thank you.
I don't have any questions.
Amy?
I don't have any questions.
Joe?
Given this is the rural area too, are homes and stuff allowed to have gravel drives out there?
So Mayor and Council, there are specific separate requirements for rural area residential driveways. But because this is not a residential property, that's where we're getting into this
What I
permit.
figured. So to me, I don't know, you call it industrial, but I think I get it. I think these are kind of like, I don't know, you see them in the big open fields and stuff. I work a lot too, and I went out with Feldman to the big Excel site out there that they have out in, it's like North Branch area, somewhere out there in Chisago. And I don't see an issue with it being dirt out there in that small area. That's just all I have.
Well, I just got two quick questions on, there's no culvert required or needed going underneath that?
Mayor and Council, I don't believe so. This is something the engineers have reviewed and they haven't had any comments on, so.
Okay. And my second question, is this gated then?
Yes, yep, there's a fence around the entire site that's proposed, that was gated.
So this actual drive though will have its own separate gate there, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. long as they got a gate, then I don't know, the question I was a culvert, but than that, I'm okay with it, so. So are we ready to vote on this? Has anybody else got anything else they wanna discuss on it? So do I have a motion to approve, resolution 2025-31? Approving an interim use permit for a gravel drive and parking area.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Motion by Councilman Udvig. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Councilman Neilbauer. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Pull the same sign. On to the Dalton River Villa concept review.
Mayor and council, that's mine as well. Oh, is it up on there for you guys? Yeah, okay, great. So tonight, you'll be reviewing a concept plan for a roughly 15.5 acre site located between the Rum River and Ambassador Boulevard. This site would be served with access from Woodbine Street coming up from the south. As you can see today, the site is undeveloped and mostly wooded. It does have some natural features that are worth mentioning here as we talk about the layout of the site itself. So you can see from this image, there is a pretty significant bluff that runs kind of along the property northwest to southeast, as well as a floodplain along the river. So the high area of the site is kind of in that southwest corner, for lack of a better description. So the concept plan itself tries to make use of that upland area. So it's proposing 19 non-riparian lots on that 15.5 acre site, 8 of which are the developable acres of that site. So really, we're only talking about 8 acres here. Again, Woodbine Street would be proposed to come up from the south and be extended into a cul-de-sac to serve most of these proposed lots. And then there would be an outlot that runs kind of along the river. And that would include the undevelopable land, so the bluff and the floodplain area. It would also have a stormwater pond to serve that development. So we always check the density of the site as well as just conformance with the comprehensive plan first. So this is an area that's guided for low density residential use, which is 2 to 3 units per net acre. So we take out the undevelopable land, so take out the bluff, take out the floodplain, and we get a proposed density here of 2.375, which is pretty much right in the middle of that range. So that's consistent with what the comprehensive plan is telling us for this site. As far as zoning goes, this site is zoned R1, which is the low density residential category for the city. It's also located in the Urban Rum River Management Overlay District. And so when we have those 2 districts that apply to one site, we take the most restrictive standards and that's what gets applied. And so that's what this chart here is meant to show. You can see that there's the R1 requirement and then the Urban Rum River requirement, and then what's proposed. So the areas that are in red, so lot area, lot width, and then minimum front setback, those are the areas where what's proposed is less than what's required by the Urban Rum River District, because that's the most restrictive. So we would be looking at variances or a plan unit development, something to allow flexibility if this concept were to move forward in the process. And when we look at that, what we look for is, are there natural features or the physical layout of the site? What's the reason for why the lot can't be developed, meeting the requirements that are in the code today? In this case, you've got the bluff, you've got the floodplain, you have a county road, and you have just the layout of that site being kind of east to west like that. And so in order to lay any sort of development out in a way that efficiently utilizes the city's infrastructure, it's likely that there's going to need to be some flexibility given there. We also do try to look at kind of the surrounding area to see if what's being proposed kind of matches what's already there today. And so we did look at the neighborhood to the south, which has fairly similar ranges of lot sizes as what's being proposed here. So obviously we can always get more into that further down the line, but just wanted to share that information. Like I said, access would primarily be coming up from the Woodbine Street from the south, ending in a cul-de-sac. 3 of the lots are proposed to have individual drives accessing Ambassador. That is something that the county did provide some input on. They would prefer that those drives either be, reduced as much as possible or eliminated, but it's not something that they're going to be hard and fast on. Anoka County also requested 10 feet of additional right-of-way along Ambassador to get up to what their standard is, which is 120 feet of right-of-way along those county roads. So right now, they're at 110, so. Planning Commission reviewed this concept at their June meeting. We talked a little bit about the outlot and kind of what does the ownership for that outlot look like. And they kind of decided that, you know, their opinion would be if the city is going to own that outlot, if it's going to be part of a public park system, they would like to see that public access be provided. But there weren't strong feelings on whether that should be part of the public park system or if it just should live as an outlet. Part of that conversation was coming from the development to the south. There is a piece along the river that the city owns today, not as part of a public park, but it's just in city ownership. And that would connect those two pieces. Planning Commission also talked about the proposed lot sizes and how they seem to fit with what's provided already with the existing neighborhood to the south. And we talked a little bit about the extension of the road as a cul-de-sac as well. So tonight, we're looking for council to just review and provide any feedback to the applicant or staff that would help the applicant kind of make their decision moving forward on if they'd like to move forward, and if so, kind of what they'd like to apply for. Specifically, if there are thoughts or concerns about the flexibility areas that are requested, so lot area, lot width, and then the front setback. Or if there are thoughts about the outlot ownership, but if there are any other thoughts about things that I didn't mention, feel free to voice those too. Happy to answer questions.
So just real quickly before we jump into it,
Yeah.
is there any preference for one route over another as far as?
As far as variance versus planned unit development.
Okay.
Yep.
Anybody want to go first?
Well, PUD would be more beneficial to the developer, I would think, wouldn't it? In theory.
It's hard for staff to make that call. So Mayor and Council,
Variances are more costly, whereas PUD it would go through planning and then it would come to us.
Mayor and council, they're gonna take the same steps no matter what.
Okay.
yeah. So the idea with variances is that you need to be able to meet practical difficulties.
Right.
And show that there's some sort of reason for why that variance is needed that wasn't created by the owner. PUDs, you know, obviously there's a different approval route and we're looking at some sort of public benefit requirement there. So it's kind of the give and take on what that is,
Yeah.
so.
My only comment, I guess, would be about the park thing, and I kind of like to hear Paul's thoughts on that. I don't know if is it really beneficial or is it a nice enough area that you'd want to add it to the park system and then maintain it? Is that gonna be beneficial enough, or do you think just leave it as an outlet would be more?
Mayor and council, in my opinion, we have plenty of park space right now that we're trying to maintain. It would just be another added space with extra labor, in my opinion.
Kind of what I was thinking, that's why I asked you. I like it otherwise, I mean, I have no beefs about it, I think it looks good, the last picture helped me picture it more with the drawing on it, so I appreciate that. Yeah, I have nothing further.
Amy?
I don't have a question.
Sir?
No, I don't have any questions either. Was kind of leaning toward keeping it as an outlaw myself. Just with how much we do have a lot of parks that we are just now starting to maintain and keep track of, so I'm leaning towards outlaw myself.
Kevin?
Joe answered my questions as well. The outlaw, whether it's worthwhile or not. Excuse me, I suppose we can talk about that down the road, I mean, if you're talking about a trail with some wood chips or something, that's not much maintenance, and I don't know, you know, the city takes that as part of its park dedication or whatever, but I think the concept fits well in the application, just like the neighborhood to the south, and I've been down there several times, and it's kept nice and neat, and it works for the people that want to have an affordable place to live. And some of those people are snowbirds and whatnot too, so I'm fine with it so far.
So the Upper Rum River or the Urban Rum River, you don't foresee any problems with them per se?
Yeah, so Mayor and Council, we've gone 20 rounds with the DNR about this on different properties, but at this point, no, I don't see any concerns. Usually their biggest issue is they don't want to be able to see houses from the river, and so if you're meeting that river setback, That's always key for them. And then they'd look at height too, to make sure that everything is kind of back. So the really important parts would be off the bluff, the appropriate amount of setback space, which is what's proposed here right now. As far as the variance that would be required or PUD flexibility with the front setback, that is kind of a weird provision in the urban rim river requirement, that they want a larger setback from county roads, but that tends to then push those houses toward the river, which doesn't make a lot of sense. And so discussions I've had with the DNR representatives, they've kind of said the same of like, yeah, we're okay with that variance because it moves the houses further away from the river.
And, so the outlot, if it, because I agree, I just don't think we need to add to the park system. I think we got our hands full right now maintaining what we have, but this is kind of a Paul question maybe, or that question, if it's outlot, are there any MS4 permit issues with being down there like that, down?
Oh, Mayor and Council, know if I'm aware of.
Okay. Yeah, and I really don't have strong feelings either way towards the PUD or variance, which I'm okay with either one. I think our consensus is that the city would not own the outlot.
Wouldn't own it for public park.
Excuse me, for
Okay.
public park, right, correct.
Okay.
One more question. Does the DNR then get to see this before the developer gets too deep into it? Like, are we gonna get that okayed?
Yeah, so right now they actually, the area hydrologist, they're in between area hydrologists. Otherwise, we would have sent them this concept, but yeah, as soon as an application is in, we would send it to the DNR.
Cool, thank you.
You have everything you need on that one then, Beth?
I believe I do. Thank you, Mayor.
Perfect. Thank you. On to the zoning code amendment, accessory structure size, first reading.
Yep, so Mayor and Council, this is a request to amend the city code, specifically the code language that says how much total detached accessory structure square footage is allowed on a lot between 2.5 and 5 acres in size. This is coming out of a code compliance issue. And so the applicants actually live on a lot that's 2.69 acres. And they have constructed some accessory structure square footage to the point where they are over that 1,500 square foot limit. And so they're applying for to amend the ordinance so that they would be in compliance with the new ordinance. So staff kind of went through and we looked at similar cities, surrounding communities, and kind of tried to understand what those cities are doing. And if the city is off and not, not in line with what's going on around us. And we found that most cities around us are allowing somewhere between 2,000 and 3,000 square feet of detached accessory structure square footage for lots of this size. And so we talked through that with the Planning Commission. As a legislative change, there's a lot of leeway that all of you have to determine if that's something that you think is appropriate for the city at this time. And so Planning Commission's recommendation was that the language be increased so that it goes up to 2,500 square feet of allowable detached accessory structure square footage. So that would bring in this specific property into compliance. It would also kind of make St. Francis a little bit more uniform with what's around us today. So this would be the first reading. Planning Commission recommended approval of that change. Happy to answer any questions.
You wanna go first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
Yeah, Beth, was this a person or family, did they come forward on their own or were they reported by someone else?
So Mayor and Council, this has gone through the code compliance channels. And so it was something that was reviewed by staff and then was flagged as in compliant.
So the city person saw this or an employee saw this and, okay, there's some citizens in action there. But did it cost the applicant any money to come forward then and apply for this?
Yes, so the applicant paid the same fee that anyone else would pay for a request to amend the code.
And what would that be if I can ask?
Oh, okay.
Approximate.
Mayor and Council, I believe our escrows are at 3,000 and our applications 450.
Okay, so they put their money where their desire was,
Correct,
and here we are.
correct.
Okay. That's all I have. Thank you.
Sir,
I don't have any questions.
Amy,
I don't have any questions.
Joe?
I just want to thank the people for using the process and that's awesome to see that. Dealing with code of compliance is never fun. But I do appreciate you following the process. We often get complaints of people don't like things, they just want you to change it and don't think about the staff time that's used, and you are using everybody's money when you use staff time. So I do appreciate that. The other thing is too, is I think that throughout the years, I've heard a lot of people say, or I've heard from time to time, I guess, not a lot of people. That'd probably be an exaggeration, but I've heard people from time to time say how they, I know one person that moved out of town because they couldn't have a big enough structure and they didn't have a big enough lot and so on and so forth. So I think this encourages more people to be here, and I like it.
Yeah, I just have, I'm in full support of this. The only other question I had actually goes beyond this, and I know it was kind of mentioned in the cover memo and everything about should planning and zoning be proactive in this case and start amending are they in the process of looking at amending the other codes for higher acreage lots, size, so forth?
Yeah, so Mayor and Council, that was something that got brought up. Obviously, this amendment is very specific to size and the specific lot of 2.5 to 5 acres. There was some discussion at planning about, should the city staff kind of look into that entire table that we have in our code of all the different lot sizes? Should we look into the size of the structure that's allowed, the height, the number of structures, kind of all of that's incorporated into that table. And at that point, we said, if that's something that council wants to direct us to do, we certainly can spend time doing that. That's also something that we could flag. Usually at the end of the year, we bring some housekeeping amendments. So if that's something that, again, if council has interest in wanting us to look at that further, that's probably the time that we would use to do it. Unless you feel that it's more urgent and you'd like to look at it sooner.
I think that timetable is right. I don't, I'm just speaking for myself here, but I think I would like us to be more proactive, kind of seeing that this exact example that came before us and knowing that we may be, our neighbors surrounding us may be at higher levels or whatever else. I think we should look at it. I don't think it's anything urgent, but I do think it's a proactive step, I think, it's bottom line. So I don't know if the rest of
Just go 1 square foot bigger than your neighboring city.
Anybody else? Anything?
Mayor and Council, to correct the fees, right now we have a $350 application fee and a $2,000 escrow.
So do I have a motion to approve ordinance 347, modifying section 106804 accessory structure in the city code?
I'll make the motion, Mayor.
Motion by Councilman Robinson. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Udvig. Roll call, please.
Mayor Vogel,
Aye.
Councilmember Spanis,
Aye.
Udvig,
Aye.
Robinson,
Aye.
Mulebauer.
Aye.
Thank you. On to stormwater pollution prevention plan for large cities. Is that you, Paul?
It is, Mayor and Council, this evening before you is a housekeeping item that comes from our MS4 permit audit that happened this year. The city of St. Francis recommended to amend the current code regarding off-site stormwater infiltration treatments with stormwater best management practices required by the MS4 permit through the MPCA. It's a very simple amendment. It basically states that if for an off-site treatment, they need to form their own best management practice. Stormwater can be complicated if it's in a couple different sites. So the suggested motion this evening is to approve the first reading of ordinance 348, approving zoning code amendments pertaining to stormwater prevention plan for large cities as presented by staff.
Questions?
Who would this affect mostly?
It depends. Mayor and Council, it would be if there was maybe a contractor in town working on something and they had to move certain treatment offsite, then they'd have to show up with another SWIP or a stormwater prevention plan.
That's all I have.
Amy?
I don't have any questions.
Sir?
I have no question.
Kevin?
No question, Mayor.
So in real world here, Paul, I mean.
It was a good change.
Good
Mayor and
change,
Council was a good
not-
change. Simple change.
Yep.
They're tightening down more and more on the MS4 permit. They'll continue to do this year after year.
So do I have a motion to approve ordinance 348, amending the zoning code to modify the off-site treatments for structural BMP standards?
I'll make that motion. Mr. Mayor.
Motion by Councilman Udvig. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Councilman Mulebauer. All those, excuse me, roll call, please. Jenny?
Mayor Vogel,
Aye.
council members Thomas,
Aye.
Udvig,
Aye.
Robinson,
Aye.
Mulebauer.
Aye.
She wasn't looking at me. I was expecting her to say something about it.
On to E, City Hall Fire Station Landscape Repair. Paul.
Mayor and Council, it was brought to staff's attention earlier this year that the weeds going through the landscape and the actual landscaping was subpar. Staff reached out to Stahl. Long story short, there is going to be no money from Stahl. And if the city wants to correct this, we have to correct it on our own. I was able to procure 3 different estimates for fixing the landscaping here. Tonight, if council could discuss and decide whether to correct or not correct the landscaping, and if the council decides to correct it, staff recommends using the Clark companies to correct the landscaping. That I can answer any questions.
So before we discuss it real quick, you wanted to explain real quick about at least the part that we talked about, that we can't sprinkle the.
There's two items out there. Number one, it was missed in specifications that there was no fabric to be laid down. No excuses there. That one's on me. It happened at a goofy time of the year. And the second is, after everything's settled out there, there's a lot to be desired. Not enough soil was used to finish it off. And it was a weak seeding. It was not, I don't think it was hydro seeded. I believe they just spread seed on it. So it needs help out there, in my opinion.
But we can't sprinkle the boulevard on.
We
On
cannot,
the
per
county,
Anoka
just so
County,
everybody knows,
no,
right.
sir, Mayor and Council, so Anoka County will not let us water the boulevard. There cannot be irrigation up there. Everywhere else is irrigated, but not there.
Who would like to go first?
I appreciate your accountability, Paul. That goes a long way, I think. Trying to figure out how to word this, but this is gonna be worded probably wrong, but I think you'll understand what I'm saying is we didn't spend all the money that was in the bond, right? Either way, we have to pay that entire bond back. So some of that, we're not really losing any money, but we're gonna have to use some of that money to do this. So it's not gonna be a huge added expense to anything. So does that sound correct?
Correct. So Mayor and Council, in discussions with Stahl would have corrected this and used contingency money. So that's an accurate statement.
Okay. That's all I have. I think and I would say, I think we should probably fix it. If we spent that much on a building and want it to look nice, we should probably correct it, unfortunately.
Well, I don't know what the alternatives are. It's the sad part. So.
Leave it as is, yeah. Everybody can say, look at that.
Mhm.
Amy, go ahead.
Okay, so. Okay, the fabric under the mulch. In your defense and Stahl's, I guess, there is 2 ways of doing mulch. You can either put fabric down, or you cannot put fabric down. And the idea is that the mulch eventually decomposes and actually turns into soil. So if you have fabric and you have mulch, in some amount of years, you're gonna have soil on top of your fabric, and then you just keep throwing mulch on it and you're gonna get weeds. If you don't put fabric down, you need to dig down farther and put black dirt. And eventually you will get weeds. You will, but we shouldn't have them in less than a year. So that's disappointing. So even though you missed it not having fabric, you can go both ways. You can do it both ways. So, I wasn't shocked that there was no fabric. I mean, my husband and I have owned a landscape company for many years. Many times we don't use fabric for that exact reason. It turns into soil after a long time. You probably know this. You need to, when you cut the grass, you need to make sure you don't cut the grass clippings into the mulch ever. And if you do, you have to blow them out. And I think that, I haven't seen that happen here. I don't know if that's how you're doing it, but that's just one suggestion. Another thing, if it was it hydro seeded?
No.
It was
I don't
just
believe it's
seeded.
seeded. It-
Okay,
Mayor and Council, it was so late in the year. Again, there was a lot going on at that point. Yeah, and I apologize for not even knowing that answer for sure. I shouldn't.
No, it's okay. I get it when things are busy. I just thought I had seen it be hydro seeded. I thought it was hydro seeded. And so, I drive by here pretty often and I thought I remember seeing the hydro seeding color. My questions for whoever we choose, if they're gonna do hydro seeding, is, find out how much they're gonna dig down. And find out
3
what the
inches.
3 inches.
I specified 3.
And find out what the ratio of hydro seeding is compared to the filler products. I mean, some just you should do 1 to 1,
Yeah.
some do 1 to 4. So you're getting a lot less seed, a lot more filler. That would be something. My other thing is the shrubs that were used, they're so small and close together that we need to trim those like twice a year. And the spireas out here, in particular, they need like 2 to 3 feet to grow. Otherwise, you're just gonna be, they're gonna grow into a hedge and they're not really meant to grow into a hedge. And so, would all of the plants stay, all of the shrubs and bushes stay with any of these beds?
It's up for discussion.
Okay. The other thing is with the mulch, this natural cedar mulch that's out here that looks like it's already worn out, we pay twice as much. The wholesale people pay twice as much for that mulch than they do that dyed colored mulch. That is, in my opinion, it looks a lot nicer. I mean, it's a bolder statement. It looks a lot nicer. And it is literally, I don't know why, but it is literally half the price of that natural mulch that's out there.
So Mayor and Council, that is one of the options. That's also in the price as well. We can go dyed. If we wish to.
Okay, I would like that. I think it would really make the landscaping that we do have kind of pop. And so I just don't like this natural colored mulch. That's just me. So that would be one thing that I would like to see different. Everybody's going with that dark brown mulch nowadays. So that would be something that I would like. And secondly, and to go off of what Joe said, when I called you to say, hey, what's going on with the grass? I didn't have any complaints about you and your staff doing them. It was all about like, this just got put in and it already looks this way. We just shouldn't have weeds. So thank you for contacting Stall. I know you met with them, and it is disappointing that they're not willing to even fix it, or help us with a partial cost or something. That is disappointing. But it is what it is. We have to fix it. I mean, it just can't look like that. And then as far as the 3 bids that you have there, some of them say how many yards of mulch they're gonna use and some of them don't. So I think you should clarify how many yards of mulch we're getting and make sure it's 2 to 3 inches. Or bigger. I actually stopped the other day and I dug over here to see how thick it was. And it actually was pretty thick in this one spot I dug. So it actually was pretty thick, but I just wanted to point out that having fabric isn't the be all end all. It is a way of doing it. And I've done it that way many, many times. I've done it without fabric many, many times. So it's, don't beat yourself up that you missed that there was no fabric, because it is a standard way of doing it. as well. You just need to dig down further. And whatever was there, if there was grass there before all of this, you know, it just comes up. So I personally think we do need fabric in this case. And of course, you take the cheapest bid, you know, and I don't know what your comfort level was with any of these, but I would vote for the, you know, the least expensive, but I would ask those questions. How many yards of mulch are you gonna use? And can we get a discount if they use the cheaper mulch? And secondly, what is their ratio of hydro seeding going to be? And then we need to have a plan to water it. Unfortunately, if that was the first I heard that we can't water along the boulevard. Why is that exactly? Because they don't want the water to go, like, hit the cars? What, like, why? They just won't.
I can't answer it with the county's reasoning.
Okay, so, but we're gonna have to have a plan for at least the first season to
Mayor and
water.
council, I will
Yeah.
tell you, there are 8 employees at the Public Works that are ready for this, and they would like to see it changed as well. They already have a plan in place if you okay it tonight.
Okay,
They're tired of it. They're tired of looking at it themselves.
okay. All right, well, that's all I have.
Okay, Sarah.
Yeah, I agree. It stinks that we have to fix it, but we didn't put up a nice building to have our landscaping look like we did. Spend more than $25, which isn't, but, and yeah, the watering is an issue, but I have Public Works Department will take care of that just fine. So, say we need to fix it.
Kevin?
No other comments other than a little disappointed that our project manager we hired didn't see that, you know, it's pretty basic, I think. As involved with something more complex like a valve or something for the in-floor heat or something that to me, fabric is obvious. And again, Amy did a good job explaining horticulture to us all who don't know much about it, but it's disappointing. Again, you know, they were our guard dog for our money and they kind of let us down. So like Joe said, if it was in the bid earlier, we'd be spending 25 grand more than what we spent on our final tally possibly, but nevertheless, it's gotta be done. So we gotta do it.
I mean, I'm in agreement that it needs to be done. I just have a couple questions. First off, I actually do believe it was hydro. I kind of vaguely remember
Yeah.
like Amy, but unfortunately, when you do it that late season, I'm sure the success rate of it is gonna be poor. Just to Amy's points, I've got several gardens at home and I've used fabric and I haven't used fabric before. I don't use fabric anymore, so she's right. There's different ways of doing it, so I can see how the contractor actually thought it's okay, and I get. But the only other remaining questions I have is to her point about plant spacing. I mean, is that something we need to look at as far as thinning some of those out, or I don't?
Well,
Because
they're
that
here
would be the
now.
time, that'd be the time to do it though,
Yeah,
if you're
it
gonna do
definitely
it.
would be. I probably wouldn't. They just need to be trimmed, otherwise they're gonna look like monsters. And that's hard to do when there's so many of them. They just need to be trimmed twice a year, you know, cut off the new growth.
And that was my next question. What it was, I know you don't have it spelled out exactly, whatever, what is kind of the maintenance plan for that area? Is it twice a year kind of a thing where you go?
Yeah, and that's what we've been doing, Mayor and
Okay,
Council. Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's just so many of them. So anyway, I'll be quiet. So what do y'all think about changing the color of the mulch? Because it should save money. I looked up the wholesale prices today and it literally is half the cost.
Tim still haven't had sale. We can get some spray paint.
Yeah.
I'm totally with you though.
Hold on, I was told that Tim does not have a sale anymore.
Do they?
The sales come?
So Mayor and Council, the color that you're talking about, Amy, is mink. It's called mink.
Oh, okay. Okay. The one I like or this one?
The dark one.
The dark one?
That'll
Oh, okay.
probably match a little bit better.
Okay. So, I mean, just preference. Does anybody have a preference between this mulch and a brown colored mulch? Or
I
do you have no
I do
preference?
for my use.
Yeah,
I totally agree with you. For my use, the hardwood shredded dye, I think stays in place really nice. And
It does.
So if I had one way to lean, I'd say the hardwood shredded dye, but that's
Do we
just,
have to, I mean, we have to replace the
This already has to come out
mulch
anyway.
anyway, so.
Right,
if we're gonna-
all the mulch
right,
that's out there
that's
is
gonna
leaving.
come out, right?
Removed.
It's
plus
not
some-
like
plus
getting
some
reused
soil.
in
So
any
if we're
way.
gonna, as long as we're
Mhm.
doing that, which it made sense that it would be gone, but just in case, you
Right,
never know.
right.
Just in case, yeah, I think we go ahead and do the. I mean,
All right,
So, good.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Paul.
Do you need a motion?
motion?
No, I don't think so. Or do we?
well, because we have to pick the,
Authorizing.
we have to
Okay, all right.
authorize the Clark
Selected
companies to
contractor.
do it, so.
So do I have a motion approving Clark companies to do the specified work?
I'll make that. I'll make that.
Motion by Councilman,
Mulebauer.
Mulebauer. Do I have a second?
I'm new here.
I'll second.
Second by Councilman Udvig. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. There you go. Thank you. So one last time, meeting open to the public. Anybody? Just please state your name and your address.
Yes, sir. Andrew Wood, 3419, turn 36 lane. I sit on the board for the Rum River with Sarah. Just a quick question. Did we at least release retainage for what we did for the landscaping? This retainage has been released? You can't go back in the documents and hit them with any LDs for,
No, I cannot. I've explored all those options.
okay,
It's on me.
roger that. And also, when you were talking about developing over here, it would probably be best to notify the Rum River Board, just so they can do their due diligence with Anoka County Soil and Water. Make sure that
You
we're
just
not.
did,
polluting.
you're here.
What's that? I'm here, yeah. But that way they get a hold of Soil and Water, that they can do their study, which will help with the DNR permitting.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Andrew. Last chance. Anybody else? Seeing none, on to council member reports. Who would like to go first?
I can go.
Go ahead, Joel.
I don't have anything to report. I've been busy with personal things the last few weeks.
Thank you for that report. Amy?
I don't have much to report either, although I liked our little, we had like a 3-week break. Didn't we? Didn't we? Or wasn't our meeting like 3 weeks ago? That was kind of nice. I just had a question about, Darcy mentioned it. What is the agenda for our work session on the 28th? Do we know anything about what that might be?
Well, on Thursday.
Oh,
Mayor and council, right now, we're looking at the levy, stormwater fees, water and sewer fees. And there's a couple other stragglers. that we have. So
Okay.
we have a very full night.
okay.
That's fine.
Bring snacks. Okay,
Stay late.
okay. That's all I have.
Sir?
I attended on June 18th, I attended the Upper Rum River Water. Our next meeting is September 2nd. They are doing a pontoon tour at 4:30. I will not be able to be there because our meeting is that night too, since,
A pontoon tour?
yes, we're going on a tour, correct? That's what they decided, so,
Oh,
yeah, we need to go on a tour. And unfortunately, I think Andrew said it's the first day of school for his, and he has a kindergartner, so priorities on that one, so neither one of us will be able to go to the tour. Andrew said he probably will be able to make it to the meeting. So we'll have a representative, but I will miss that next meeting too. Yes, and that's if you want to say go to that instead. I mean, I do the tour and come in just a little bit late, but I'm just kidding.
Thanks,
That's
Sarah.
all I have.
Kevin?
We have a Bethel Fire meeting, this coming, or week from this Wednesday. We're inching closer to a joint powers of agreement and, it's actually going smoother than towards the end than anybody thought. We had a target of September, chief. And we're gonna hit that target pretty close, so. As far as dollars and cents and life and safety and stuff like that, it's all covered and, it's gonna go together well. I'll be at a GLIC meeting on the 23rd. And then recycle day, to remind everybody, Saturday, August 19th, jippers. July 19th will be a recycle day again at the Public Works area there. So other than that, that's all I have.
Thank you, Kevin. So like Kevin, I attended the Bethel St. Francis Fire discussion. And as he stated, I think it's going very well. Well, stay tuned. I had a meeting with Kate and Met Council. and sometimes I have issues with Met Council, but I'm gonna call him out. This Elias Montessa, and I know Joe's met him, I think. I give credit to any public servant who does their job, and he's doing his job. He reached out to us, and comes to every city that's under his jurisdiction, and he comes to them, and he's the one who approaches them and says, I want to sit down, I want to hear any concerns, any ideas, anything. So I just thought it was a very good discussion, nothing earth shattering, but I really appreciate people who do their job. And I think he's doing a nice job.
That was the first time I seen anybody from the Met Council, so that was awesome.
Right. Then we had another Bridge Street Connection to Highway 47 meeting today, and I mean, it's all high level discussions, but I think it's going very well. Kate was there and Paul was there, and I don't know, you know, when we get something actionable, we'll come back to council, but we're progressing. And I think we're narrowing in on different directions we can take before we pull the trigger on these architects getting involved. So stay tuned on that one. Paul's familiar with this one. I know Kate is too. Getting some concerns from resident about the roundabouts needing to be repainted, especially over by the high school. And just so you know, I mean, it's scheduled for August sometime, I believe.
First week of August, yes.
And the big catch on just, it sounds really simple to just repaint a roundabout, but it's not, because guess what you have to do for 30 minutes? You have to close the roundabout for 30 minutes to let the paint set. So
Well, Mayor and Council, little clarification on this as
Go ahead.
well. They're also talking about maybe possibly doing some milling on that to give it more surface area so the paint sticks longer and it gives it a different look as well. So Anoka County is actually stepping up pretty good.
Good. So stay tuned for that. It's coming up in August. And lastly, I'm looking for a sub on July 30th. I got the local government of Anoka County meeting down there at Bunker Hills. It's Wednesday, July 30th. I believe it's 6 or 7 p.m. I don't remember. Is anybody able to attend? I've got a conflict that evening. I'd like to go
I
to that.
probably could.
Okay, thank you, Amy.
Hmm.
I'll get you more details on
Okay.
that then. So,
Thank you.
thank you. Anything else, anybody? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Make that motion, Mayor.
Motion by Councilman Robinson. Do I have a second? Second by Councilman Udvig. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned at